Thanks for joining us for the latest episode of the Secure Connections podcast, brought to you by IOTA, the Internet of Things Security Services Association. I'm Brian Sherman, Content Director for IOTA, and joining me for today's episode is Tyler Moffitt, Senior Threat Research Analyst at Webroot. Today, we'll be covering one of the hottest topics in the cybersecurity space, the security of cryptocurrency. Welcome back to the Secure Connections podcast, Tyler.
Thanks for having me, Brian. Always glad to be here.
Good. Yeah, you've become one of our regulars here, which is not a bad thing at all. We love having you back.
Good.
Always filled with insight, and but it's been a couple of months since we last caught up. What have you been up to on your side of the world?
Yeah, a lot of things going on for sure. Two big hacks: the SolarWinds and the Exchange server hack. So that's basically what we've been focused on. But always changing. The threat landscape, never a dull moment.
Yeah, I hear you. The latest one I know, Microsoft, is that are you getting a lot of MSP interaction with that issue?
To an extent, people just want to know more: how to patch our evasion shield, how it can protect, how to set up evasion shield, because by default evasion shield's not on, and so a lot of people found out this way they even had this shield and hadn't had it configured correctly, and so we help them out.
Very cool. I'm amazed at how many people still have the on-premise server. You hear so much about cloud these days. Everybody's not moved that way yet, but I think the amount, the proliferation of this attack is the numbers are kind of astounding.
Yeah, the criminals are finding out new ways to leverage attacks on it already. As soon as it came out, we were starting seeing 0 days or new tactics and trends. I think the latest one now is mining cryptocurrency, believe it or not, using compromised exchange servers.
Well, very good. Well, that's obviously what we want to talk about today. So,
right.
Why don't you explain what's going on in the cryptocurrency space and why people cannot stop talking about it? Because I'm hearing
Yeah, I know. And that's a really difficult question. I'll try and do it as quickly and as succinctly as possible. Cryptocurrency, namely Bitcoin, the original blockchain technology, came out in 2009, white paper 2008. It was literally a direct competition to the financial collapse of 2008. The fractional reserve banking, where you deposit money and then they just lend it out and don't actually hold it for you. That's the big problem that caused that crash, and Bitcoin is an antidote to that. It's a deflammatory asset by nature, and everybody likes it because of there's many reasons. I'll explain some of the biggest ones. The biggest ones are it is the most hack-resistant technology to date, and I'll explain further about that later. Secondly, there is no central entity governing Bitcoin whatsoever. There is no if you were to send a transaction and you make a mistake, that's your mistake and you'll have to own it, because there is no entity you can go to get a refund or say you made a mistake. Nothing like that. Also, it's borderless. It can't be stopped too because of the no central entity. Like a SWIFT, if you want to move dollars between bank accounts, right? You're going to have communication between those banks. They'll likely charge you a fee. And with moving Bitcoin, you can move it anywhere you want. It can be moved to cross country. It's the same. Whether you're sending a Bitcoin to your buddy sitting next to you on his phone or sending to somebody in China, it will cost the same amount of money. And it will also cost the same amount of money, whether if you're moving $10 billion or $10. So there's an appeal right there. If you wanted to move $10 billion between a Chinese bank and an American bank, they're probably going to take about 700,000 or so in fees, maybe more. That's actually a pretty good deal if you think about percentage wise. If you were to move Bitcoin at those prices, you might pay $10 or so, maybe $5 to move that Bitcoin. And that's a really big appeal just right there, right? A lot of people criticize Bitcoin, saying it'll never be a transactional currency to buy coffee with, and I agree. Can ever support that transactions per second. But that's why it's considered digital gold. If you ever try to move gold, that also costs a lot of money. So being able to move that borderless, no one can stop it. That's a double-edged sword there too. So no one can stop it. Everyone likes that because you're like, oh, great, can't be censored, free speech money. But again, also can't stop it from funding criminal or terrorist organizations, right, which is also why we see it big with criminals asking for ransoms in Bitcoin because the government literally can't stop it. Now they can catch them in other ways when on the on and off ramps between buying and selling for dollars or rubles or euros or whatever currency they're looking to do. But yeah, the main reason why is it's a deflammatory asset. It also is anticipated to be worth more and more over time. While we still absolutely see huge fluctuations and skyrocketing as a price and then decreases overall on a long enough timeline, it's just done nothing but increase in price. And the reason for that is, you know, who is the ledger system? How can you tell who sends what Bitcoin to who and why? Who organizes all that? If there is no central entity, who is doing this? And it's the miners. Literally, the miners are the ledger system, and the incentive for people to pay all this money and power and electricity and noise that these mining machines cost. What is the incentive? Well, they are rewarded with Bitcoin. Every 10 minutes, a new block is formed on the Bitcoin blockchain. And literally, a block just consists of the past 10 minutes of transactions. That's all it is, just a record of the past 10 minutes of transactions. And the miners provide that. And in reward, they are rewarded with 6.25 Bitcoins every block. Now, that used to be 50 Bitcoins per block back in 2010. But what happens is every 4 years, or around about every 400,000 blocks, they go what's called a halvening. Maybe you've heard of that, a halvening. The halvening is where the reward for Bitcoin's mined is halved. So the reward that the miners get for solving these blocks and recording the transactions halves every 4 years. So it went from 50 to 25 to 12.25 to just recently 6.25 Bitcoins every block. May 2020 is when that halvening happened. And the next one is in May 2024, where the price or the reward will go down to 3.125 Bitcoins. And that is going to continue, or at least projected to continue, for the next 100 years. Now, who knows if Bitcoin will still be around in the next 100 years? But if it is, that is how it will be worth more as time goes on. That is why people feel this asset is going to skyrocket. Now, we're also in the middle of a bull run year. If you don't know what that means, is the year after a halvening, the Bitcoin price will skyrocket 10 to 20x. Now, don't get me wrong. At the end of this 20x in price, it will also decrease like 75, 80%. And this is where everybody comes in and goes, it's Bitcoin's dead, it's over, it's done. And this happens, it's like a 4-year cycle. Everybody forgets for some reason that it did the same thing 4 years ago and 4 years before that. So there's a lot of hype around it right now because we're in a bull run year, likely see Bitcoin cross the 100K mark and then decrease below the 100K mark after it pops. But we'll see, man. It's very, very exciting. Lots of new stuff coming about because the technology Bitcoin created, the blockchain technology that you hear, that is the hack-resistant technology that I'm talking about. And that's the miner system that runs that. It's the most hack-resistant database. If you wanted to hack Bitcoin and say you didn't send those coins to that address, you sent them to me, you would have to hack in real time 51% of all miners that are currently writing that transaction, which is really, really hard. I'm not going to say impossible. There is nothing that's hack proof. I will never say that. But as far as the most hack resistant technology to date, I would firmly say that's true because it's really, really hard to do. And the health of the mining system is strong. Who controls the most mining percentage right now? Currently China. And they still only own 19% of the miners. So not even one country owns even close to 51%. So there's real no jeopardy of Bitcoin as of right now and as we see it. And as far as miners and how many there are, you could literally nuke all of humanity, eliminate all of humanity. They still have miners on satellites in space. So Bitcoin would work for the aliens or whoever. But it's interesting stuff to talk about. Absolutely. So
That's what I was gonna. Is there any way to know how many miners there are?
I don't know. I don't know of even a way to do that or correlate that. I just know looking at mining pools and health and hash rates, how much hash power is being contributed from each different mining pool. As far as knowing a pure number of machines, I have no idea how to find that.
Hash power, that sounds like something from the 60s. That's
Yeah.
a whole different topic. Yeah, we won't get into that
Yeah.
This week. But no, that's a great background, I think, for those of us. And I can tell you honestly, I have never had a Bitcoin. I've never spent a Bitcoin for ransomware, knock on wood. But I mean, how easy is it for the common person to go buy Bitcoin?
That's a good question. So again, You said never had a Bitcoin, never sold a Bitcoin. Again, you don't even need to buy one whole Bitcoin. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins in existence. There are currently 18 million in circulation, but they're divisible into 100 million pieces, called a Satoshi. If you've ever heard Satoshi, that's what that's referred of, a sat. It is the single reductionist size of indivisible piece of a Bitcoin, which is worth fractions of a penny right now. But if you wanted to buy a Bitcoin, you could buy $5 a Bitcoin, $10 a Bitcoin, whatever you wanted. The easiest ones are going to be exchanges. The exchanges everyone knows about, and the easiest ones from those are going to be ones you can just download on your phone that are super easy. So Coinbase, Gemini, CIEX, they're all really good. I like Coinbase personally for beginners. And the reason why I like Coinbase for beginners is because when you get down to the core of the technology, you have when you're securing your Bitcoin, you have a public key and a private key. The public key is, let's say, your address, like a PO box you would give out, and everybody sends you mail and sends you stuff into that box, right? And then you have a private address. And this is what you keep secret. Think of a private address as literally the key that opens up that PO box if you want to take stuff out and send it, okay? That is what you need to keep secret. And that is what many, many people who are learning this technology don't really know how to keep secret. And so Coinbase takes care of it for you. Coinbase, you just have a username and a password. And that's all you have to remember. Coinbase will take care of your private key and all that stuff, right? However, again, you are trusting an exchange to be in charge of your crypto. And so when you hear about crypto getting hacked or Bitcoin being stolen, it's not from the protocol. No one's breaking the protocol of Bitcoin. They are literally stealing the private keys from the exchange because the exchange did not do a good job of holding onto it securely, and then everybody else loses. They lose all their money. And most of these exchanges are not insured because cryptocurrency is not a security, and therefore financial regulations and all that stuff kind of it's iffy, and they're working it out right now. But for the most part, there are only a couple exchanges that are insured. Coinbase is one of them, but if you're on another exchange and you don't know if it's insured, definitely don't be investing in or holding your cryptocurrency on it, because if it ever gets hacked from that exchange, you are out of luck. And that's what we hear about and people complain about. But exchanges are definitely the easiest and most convenient way for people to get started and just figuring it out, right? Pretty easy. Click on Bitcoin, how much I want to buy. I want to buy $10, buy it now. Cool. I want to sell it. I'll sell it now. And then it all goes through your bank account, however you like. It's honestly very, very, very easy.
Yeah. Well, and I know, Bitcoin, blockchain, those are digital formats, obviously, and you talked about the fact that it's almost impossible to one of the safest things out there. But are there any other security risks other than the exchanges?
Sure, absolutely. So there are a lot of big things right now. So one thing you're going to hear about, especially big in the Bitcoin or blockchain tech, is on the Ethereum blockchain. There is NFT, Non-Fundable Tokens. They are making huge in the rounds right now. And so what this is basically is anybody can create an NFT. You literally, it's serializing artwork, and you could have anything be artwork. You could upload a JPEG that you didn't even create, just a meme if you wanted, a well-known meme, and then say, this is serialized. It's now a non-fungible token, and what that means is it's on the Ethereum blockchain, uniquely identifiable, and cannot be reproduced. Now, yes, you can go look at an image of that image and look at it. It's artwork, right? But the ownership is under whoever owns that address or created that token. And that is what makes it valuable. Now we're seeing memes of like Homer Simpson go for $300,000. Just an image of Homer Simpson going for $300,000. But because it's identifiable and you can track it on the blockchain and no one else can have that exact image that's verifiably yours, we're in a whole new space. Now, it does feel like a bubble. I'm not going to tell you it doesn't, because it's a little crazy when somebody pays $300,000 for an image of Homer Simpson. Even Gronk from NFL, Tom Brady's favorite tight end, he released a whole bunch of Gronk NFTs of just pictures of Gronk, and he only released 5 of them, but they were also going for like thousands of dollars just for images of Gronk that he released himself. And because he released them on this blockchain address that's identifiable, you can be sure that no one can replicate it or duplicate it. So this is kind of crazy for as far as like authentication of like collectibles. Think about how many times people have passed or sold on or sold fraudulent collectibles because you couldn't verify if it was authentic or not. Yeah. This is where that changes. You can verify authenticity. Now, granted, what we're doing is just images at this point, but who knows where that may turn in the future, which is why you want to be careful, at least security-wise, because there are people out there that will take advantage of this and try and tell you they're giving you something. Like, there's so many scams out there. Probably the most common, beyond NFTs, which you need to watch out for, are Twitter, or the promise of someone pretends to be Elon Musk, pretends to be Barack Obama, Joe Biden, whoever, right? And they say, I'm feeling really good right now. Go ahead and send me $100 of Bitcoin. I'll send you back 200. The only way I can know who to send to is whoever sends to me. And that scam has gone on for years. It was big 4 years ago on the previous bull run in 2017. It's big now. And people are losing millions. Like, there was a story I was reading, some guy who gave 10 Bitcoins to a fake Elon Musk because he thought he was going to get 20 back. And I'm just like, that's 600 grand, you clown.
I'm kind of baffled by how people fall for this these days, but they still do.
There's no malware, no phishing, just confidence scam. That's it.
I mean, it's not even a Nairobian prince. I mean, that's
no bank account. Yeah, again, there's no refunds, there's no undos, there's no I made a mistake, give me my money back. So, double-edged sword, new technology's got some teething to be done on it for sure, but that's part of the appeal, though, too, is the fact that you can't stop it.
I guess, when I look at it, and I'm more old school, collectibles. When I think collectibles, I think of, especially the expensive ones, like, an all original 1963 Corvette split window, because I can get in it, I can enjoy it. I just don't see the appeal of, like, a digital Grom.
I know.
What do you do with a digital Grom?
Well, you sell it for profit. That's what you do. You buy it low and you sell it high. That's basically all I can tell you.
Yeah. I just can't imagine there being value to that other than it is one of a kind.
Yeah, I know. Taco Bell even got on it. They were creating pictures of their spicy potato tacos, and then you had to pay money. Someone paid one Ethereum, which is like $1,200 for that, or excuse me, $1,800 for an official Taco Bell picture of a spicy potato taco. It's. I agree with you. Where is the value in this? I don't know. It's hype. It's hype in a bubble right now, but it's still going to have value. Even if,
right.
The funny thing is, the prices we're scoffing at, or like someone paying that right now, someone's going to pay more than that 4 years from now, the next bull run. So that is where I tell you it has value. Yeah. Selling it for even more to somebody else who wants it 4 years from now. So,
but Bitcoin, it sounds like, if it's every 4 years, it's like an awareness thing.
Yes,
it's marketing 101 of, yes, they've what is the term? Halving.
Yeah,
halvening.
Halvening. Yep, the reward halvening, and
when you do the halvening, then it
the price should go up. It has to every time. And unfortunately, because of the huge spikes that we see, we also see a huge decrease, and that's what scares a lot of people. And I understand, but really, the easiest way is just not to sell for a loss. Just hold on. If you hold on to it, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, it's insane. I can't even tell you. I don't know what it is today, but it's just amazing. On
56. 56,000.
56,000.
Yeah, it hit 60,000 a few days ago, but it's figuring out what it wants to do. But I have no doubts it hits 100,000 this year. But I also have no doubts it'll be under 100,000 next Christmas. So, yeah.
So the key, like anything else, is to get in low.
Buy low, sell high. This is not a revolutionary technique I am bringing to people here, but the technology is. It's kind of like we're in the early 90s, late 80s, and I'm talking to you about the internet, if that makes sense, from what the potential of applications in the future. I have a feeling that most websites will be running off blockchain, a derivative of blockchain technology eventually. Web 3.0, having a non-centrable internet, or something that maximum uptime, all these sort of attacks that take down websites now wouldn't necessarily work against the blockchain, because you got to attack 51% of all miners. Like, there's so many different applications here. It's literally endless, but that's also room for people to try and scam you and have you buy into some new coin that's going to be the next big thing that eventually goes to zero. So just be careful out there. There are like literally tens of thousands of coins out there, and only a few are going to make it, right? Only a few are going to be eBay, Amazon's, Teslas, and things like that, right? Most of them are going to go to zero, but it's which ones are going to be here forever or going to be the big ones. And I can't tell you that. I'm not a financial advisor, nor am I really consider myself one. I'm just somebody who's in the space and sees it how I'm calling it how I is.
Gotcha. Hey, so one thing that comes to mind, taking a step back here is there a job description for this, for being a miner? How do you get into being a crypto miner?
So yes, mining. It's a good question. Mining is something you can do right now on your computer with whatever you got. Now, you're not going to make much money if you mine on your processor. So Intel, AMD, whatever you got, not going to make much money. You can try it. You can go to nicehash.com, download their executable. It'll start mining for you. Now, if you've got some graphics cards, like if you play any games, or maybe you're a developer and you have to fold stuff for, I don't know, you work in editing and you have things you have to render. Either way, if you have a graphics card that you would use normally for gaming, those mine a lot better. I've got some graphics cards that make like $10, $12 a day. Just sitting there using, like, I know, crazy, huh? That's why we have a huge shortage of graphics cards. People, if you try and go to eBay or try and go anywhere and buy a graphics card that's very powerful, you can't get it. They're sold out everywhere, and on eBay they're being sold for twice the value of what they would normally cost. A $700 graphics card is costing $1,500 because people are buying it to mine cryptocurrency on. This was similar 4 years ago. The market's changed. It's just crazy on how it is. But if you wanted to mine cryptocurrency, absolutely get started. Take a look, see for yourself. Go to NiceHash, and you can download something that'll mine for you. I personally have mined using all different types of stuff. I've used NiceHash, I've used graphics cards, I've also used specialized miners. So these are ASIC miners. These are machines built. I think if I have one around here laying around, I could just show people, but I don't. ASIC, yeah, the specific chips built for mining just the algorithm of one specific coin. So the ones that you build for that usually are for stay coins like Litecoin, Bitcoin, things like that, right? Things are going to likely be here in 10 years from now. And those are super loud. You're wondering how loud? 67 decibels, which is extremely loud. It's like a jet engine taking off, like you live on next close to a runway. That's what they sound like. But those guys, they can make even more money. And again, that's just at today's prices. When I was quoting you $10, $12 a day, that's just today's prices. If the speculation is it's going to go way up, then it's even more. Like, so who knows? But there are so many different ways to mine cryptocurrency on different hardware. You can mine cryptocurrency using the CPU on your thermostat, your smart thermostat, your smart TV, any device out there. There are criminals out there that will actually try and leverage that and actually try and mine cryptocurrency using whatever you have. Because even though mining on a CPU, like a consumer grade CPU, is not that profitable, it is profitable for criminals because you're the one paying the Powerball. So, and that's why we see such a good health pool too with Monero. Monero is another really big popular coin for mining with criminals because it has the best hash rate on consumer grade hardware. So that's why they target it, because they're always hacking into consumer grade electronics and then just going, let's just mine Monero, and then they'll sell it and buy Bitcoin or whatever they want. But yeah, mining is not going away. Mining is huge. It's a really big attack vector now too. We see basically two things. When a criminal compromises or breaches an environment, their options are ransomware. Everyone knows that business model, makes quite a bit of money. But if for any reason they feel that the ransomware won't be paid and will be a waste of time, then they just mine cryptocurrency, because that is immediate payment and instant profitability since they're not paying for any of the power. And if they're smart about it and scale the usage based on the server or whatever they've compromised and whoever's using it, if they scale the CPU usage to where it's not slowing down the computer to where they're like, why is it so slow? Then it can go by indefinitely and last quite a bit of while as far as mining quite a bit of money. So that's what we see now. Very, very, very popular, especially again in a bull run year when prices skyrocket. It also increases the price and how much these guys are able to make off your computers.
So they try to hack into a variety of computers, high-end computers, servers, anything that has high computing power.
Yes, Xeon processors, anything with GPUs, whatever they can get, honestly. And it doesn't have to be high-end. They would love it to be, don't get me wrong. But even if it's not, they're still making money.
Could be quantity over power,
yeah.
too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Very good. So when they're mining, does that utilize a lot of processing, or I want to say bandwidth as well, or is it just processing power?
No, the bandwidth is in intervals, because they get a job, a DAG, if you will, a job to solve for the next nonce, and so they'll just, most of the power is not being sent bandwidth wise. I'd say very little bandwidth. What you will notice though, power bill, lots of power. So we're talking like the average computer, let's say average laptop uses probably about 200 watts on average, even at max usage, 200 watts, between 150 and 200 watts. These My ASIC miners use 1300 watts. So it's like 10 times the amount of the average laptop, if that makes sense. And as far as the max wattage consumption a laptop could do, I'm talking about normal idle usage, probably between 50 and 150 watts on a normal use of a laptop. If you're mining, then it's going to max it to the max wattage, which it probably can, supply. I would assume on a laptop, maybe 300, 350, 400. On a desktop, all depends on your power supply, right? Your power supply, they go up to like 1200 watts on those boys. All depends on how much power or what your hardware is and how much they can push into it. But yeah, it's quite a bit.
So from an MSP perspective, for example, is that might be one of the signs, obviously, that their client's been hacked into, is power bill going through the roof.
Also, your DNS being changed to Google DNS. That's another big sign. But yeah, power is the biggest, for sure. Easiest way to find out. If you see a power bill and you're like, why is that way higher than normal? What's going on? And then maybe you can narrow it down to some computers and go, okay, this guy was using way too much power. Then you might be able to find out that's being hijacked from my cryptocurrency.
So what a great defense for these people that are growing, like have these big pot farms, illegal pot farms that are growing, with all of the ampage coming off, is say they were just crypto mining. I got hacked.
That's funny. Funny you mentioned that. I have a huge solar panel installation in my house for the Bitcoin mining. And in order to qualify to get this many solar panels, you have to show that you use this much power in your electricity bill. And so when I first came to the people to buy solar panels, they were like, dude, we thought you were a grower. And I was like, no, I'm not a grower. So I had to explain to them my cryptocurrency.
Yeah, it's I think of all the little implications that could come from working in this space. Now, do you see, are there any roles other than, looking for some of those warning signs for an MSP in securing crypto for their clients?
Right. So maybe your clients are asking all about it and they want to know more about it. You should, be educated on it. More and more companies now, especially like Tesla, MicroStrategy. I think Apple's going to be coming out with announcements soon. Keep on for that. That's my big drop here and prediction. A lot of these big businesses now and all the big banks, Chase, JP Morgan, whatever, they're going to be announcing purchases and balance sheets that they hold of Bitcoin. That's going to be the standard that a lot of these businesses do now. Then we're already seeing some of them come out and do that, but that's going to be all major Fortune 500 companies are going to be eventually doing this. So you're going to be getting an influx of questions on what is Bitcoin, what can I do? It's an investment tool right now. It's speculative purely, but its implications as far as down the road, database technology, making it as secure as possible. It's fantastic technology. But as far as right now, it's just for speculative investment. And if you wish to, that's your choice. Just make sure you do it securely and make sure you educate your clients on how to do it securely. I have seen so many people lose quite a bit of money because they get into Bitcoin, they buy their Bitcoin, they understand that shouldn't keep it on exchanges, so they hold it themselves, but they hold it on the desktop wallet and they keep their private key in plain text somewhere on the computer. Or even then, they keep it still zipped up, password protected in a cloud drive storage. And there's a problem with that because anytime you want to unlock your wallet, you go to the folder, unlock it, you provide your password. It gives you the text for the key. You copy the key, you paste it in, you can send your Bitcoin, great. And then you delete that from your folder and you think you're good. Well, that's a problem. If your cloud drive ever gets compromised, they can go into the trash, what's been deleted before, and then pull out you extracting your private key for Bitcoin in the trash of the cloud. I'm bringing this out as an example because I have had people who thought they had a foolproof way. Oh, I password protect my key. It's in the Google Drive. No, don't even keep it there. Hardware wallet. If you want to keep track, if you don't want to trust an exchange to be in track of your crypto, buy a hardware wallet. I like BitFi. BitFi is my favorite, but there's Trezor, Ledger. There's a whole bunch out there. Don't ever buy them used on eBay because you can root them and the criminal will steal your money that way. Buy it brand new. But yeah, those are some things to watch out for
You
sure.
can make a business by just rooting those and selling them on eBay to other people, right?
I know, especially if you're good at like making it look brand new and sealed packaging. I don't know if there's people who are experts at that, but yeah, I
Well,
can see a lot of
it's
people.
sad that we have to look at all the different business models you could do on the illegal side of things.
Oh, I know.
To think like a cyber criminal these
I
days.
think my favorite one is just, I'm feeling great right now. Send me 1 Bitcoin, I'll send you back 2. That sounds like the easiest.
People always do that to me. They're always offering me $1 or $2 every time I give them $1. I think that just makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I know, right? Have these people not heard the term, if it's too good to be true, it usually is,
Yeah.
or definitely is, because it definitely is.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Very
I'm
good.
sure. Cool.
So no, you've given us some really good background and I think some, options for MSPs too. How can our listeners learn more about this topic? Where do
Sure.
you gain your information from?
Absolutely. Well, I get my information from having mined and gone through all this stuff, done basically everything in the area. But the best way you're going to learn for sure is doing your own research. And Webroot, we actually have plenty of blogs on how to keep your crypto safe, the history of crypto with criminals and how it's evolved, anything you want to know. I have plenty of blogs on blog.webroot.com. Search for my name, Tyler Moffitt. And most of my blogs are going to be about crypto.
Very cool. Well, that's good. So they have the resource in you. So that's
Yeah.
an awesome place to start.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, that was a really good overview. Any final thoughts on crypto and securing crypto you want to leave with the audience before we sign off today?
Sure. Biggest thing here, none of us are financial advisors. Obviously, we're talking about it because everybody is talking about it. Biggest thing is do your own research, okay? Don't ever spend more money than you're willing to lose, because this is a highly volatile market. Yes, it's speculative. Yes, there's room to make money, but there's also room to lose lots of money, okay? All the people that has said previously, Bitcoin's a scam, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's going to zero, it's never going to $1 million. Those people are probably going to get wrecked. Conversely, the people on the other end that are saying this bull run's different, it's going to go straight to $1 million and it'll never have an 80% retrace, those people are also going to get wrecked. Okay, so try and find a happy medium, have a plan in place when you do buy on when you want to sell, and understand the volatility. Like I said, do your own research. But it's a very exciting technology to be a part of for sure.
Very cool. Well, thanks for cluing us in on not just the basics, but some opportunities out there too. Tyler.
Absolutely.
So on behalf of IOTA, I'd like to thank Tyler Moffitt of Webroot for joining us today to discuss cryptocurrency and the security side. Be sure to stop back next week for a new episode of Secure Connections Podcast on iota.com or on your favorite podcast platforms, including Apple and Spotify. Thanks again for joining us and have a safe and secure day.